That sounds a little weird. Well, what about these other ones? Where these other Chinese officers? Who alerted the FBI to these? Like, who came up with these? Maybe you saw this story. It's going around. Mainstream media was loving it. They were all over it. Exclusive. This is started at the end of last year, went for several months into this year. China operating over 100 police stations across the world with the help of some host nations, report claims. This is exclusive. China, oh my God. And they said some of them were in the United States. China is operating in the United States. Holy shit. They have secret police stations in the United States. This is horrifying. Here's also Guardian. I realized I was just reading from them in kind of a positive way. Now you get to see some of the bullshit that they pump out. Explainers, China's covert overseas police stations. They're going to get us there everywhere. Oh my God, China has police stations. Well, if it sounded a little weird to you, a little too good for government propaganda to be true, here's the truth coming from Kit Clarenberg over at Mint Press. Title of the article, False Witnesses and Sinister Plots Exposing the CIA Connection to the Chinese Police Station Narrative. The CIA connection. For months, mainstream media has been aghast in the Western world, particularly English language outlets, rabidly awash with terrifying news of secret Chinese police stations. Claim these stations are unofficial, covert Chinese Communist Party security and intelligence cells concealed in private businesses run by Chinese immigrants, such as restaurants. From behind benign facades, they surveil and harass pro-democracy expats, ex-Chinese citizens that live in places like the United States. Beijing denies all of this. They primarily said that the facilities were to offer Chinese citizens overseas administrative services, such as driver's license renewals. The narrative of dastardly communists operating cloak and dagger foreign spy bases in order to help China's authoritarian tendrils overseas has ever gained in currency. In April, the FBI pounced upon a Chinese police station in Lower Manhattan, New York, based in the offices of a charitable organization. Subsequently, the U.S. Department of Justice indicted two of the organization's leading members. They now face 25 years in prison. But while official press releases on the raid of this Manhattan office repeatedly referred to the clandestine nature of the secret police station, in reality, it was openly and widely advertised as somewhere Chinese citizens in New York City could conveniently access administrative services. Here's a photo of literally the front of the building with Chinese characters saying what it was. Meanwhile, the indictment details make clear that the only state apparatchiks with which the pair were in contact belonged to the Chinese Ministry of Public Security's Traffic Management Center, because they're helping with driver's license, right? On June 6, UK Security Minister Tom Tugendhat announced the results of a police probe into 3 separate alleged Chinese security outposts in London and Scotland. Oh my God. And he said, quote, police have visited each of the locations and carefully looked into the allegations. I can confirm that police have not, to date, identified any evidence of illegal activity on behalf of the Chinese state across the sites and did not find any laws being broken. These findings were no doubt extremely disappointing for Safeguard Defenders, which alerted UK authorities to the police stations. Safeguard Defenders. Now, you might say, that sounds a little weird. Well, what about these other ones? Where these other Chinese officers? Who alerted the FBI to these? Like, who came up with these? Well, here's the CNN article. Madrid-based human rights campaigners Safeguard Defenders revealed the evidence. Now, anytime you hear that some bombshell story against China or against Russia came from something that sounds like the name of your neighborhood kids, off-brand superhero unit. Like the off-brand superhero costumes they wear, the kids wear on Halloween when you can't afford the real superheroes. Safeguard defenders. Jesus Christ. Anytime you hear that shit, it should make your ears perk up. Like, this might be bullshit. CNN and the FBI are listening to something called safeguard defenders. That should alert you to bullshit. And sure enough, let's look into safeguard defenders. The avowed origins of safeguard defenders date back to 2009, when self-styled Swedish human rights activist, Peter Dahlin, founded the Chinese Urgent Action Working Group to support China's fledgling lawyer community and conduct legal interventions. In service of these objectives, it established, sorry, my overhead light just went out because I've done almost an hour and a half. It established a nexus of pro bono legal aid centers in rural areas of China, serving the needs of local communities. And where did they get their money? For the safeguard defenders and his other organizations? They received vast sums from the National Endowment for Democracy, the NED, which is a CIA cutout. The NED's own senior officials openly admit they do covertly what the CIA once did. They do overtly what the CIA once did covertly. And their track record of financing lawfare in enemy countries is long and shameful. So you've probably heard me talk about NED before. The NED, National Endowment for Democracy, is basically an arm of the CIA. Now, it like they've said, that's a quote actually directly from one of their higher ups. We do overtly what the CIA used to do covertly. They run around and try and create regime change in countries. They do things like this. They create propaganda. So this Safeguard Defenders is funded, at least partially, by NED. And this guy who created it is also funded partially by NED. And the so-called China secret police offices in the US and in UK and Canada are bullshit. And it is safeguard defenders who have, this is similar to like when Bellingcat reports something, whenever one of these things pops up and you go, I've never heard of that before. And all of a sudden it's acting like it's some sort of arm of the US government. What the fuck is Bellingcat? It's a CIA basically cut out of journalism. It does overtly what the CIA used to do covertly. Very similar stuff going on here.